The next phase that we're going to talk about is our kind of our VO2 max phase here. And during this phase, it's exactly as it sounds. We're going to take our VO2 max and we're going to try to drive it upwards. So going back to our power duration curve here, if I was targeting, if this was an athlete that was targeting the VO2 max area, their development would probably end up right through here. And again, just like all the other ones, that we talked about, the goal is obviously to increase the power output at that place. Okay. It might not always happen, and the intervals and targets that you have as individuals might be a little different. It depending on who you are, you might have a 2-minute interval if you're a really seasoned rider and you need a little bit more VO2 development. You might have a little bit longer interval targets for you. And of course, that could be the opposite if you are really seasoned, depending on your physiology and your training up until this point, you might need shorter VO2 max intervals. So this all goes into play with who you are as an athlete and how we come together with your plans. So the first example that I want to give to you today of a VO2 max workout here, and I want to zoom in here so everybody can get the full effect here. If my computer will catch up with me. I can tell you for certain that this one was done in erg mode. And again, just like our last one with that FTP phase, you really want to get out of the erg mode, okay? It hampers down your development, right? And it crushes your ability to progress further into the future. And so a lot of times when people are in these erg mode simulations, they'll find that over years and months and however many cycles, right, they'll find that their power just steadily stays the same or just incrementally drops over time. And that's because you're restricting yourself, and the models or whatever programs you're using doesn't know that you can go harder. So get out of erg mode when you're doing this stuff. And in a case like this, right, in a workout like this, when you're doing your recoveries, get back in erg mode. Right, when you're doing that long, was that probably 5 minutes in between intervals here, get back in erg mode if you want to, and then get back out of it again when you're doing your intervals. A lot of people are scared to change up the modality that they are using for their workout, but that's okay. You can switch it while you're doing the workout. It's not a huge deal and will actually benefit you in the future. So let's go into a different example. Okay, so this is a different example of a max aerobic, VO2 max style bike ride. And again, this can be done on a bike, it can be done on the run. We can also do this in the pool in a number of different ways. So just because I'm using a bike example here doesn't mean that I'm hammering down on only this can be done on the bike. That's not the case. You can do this across all workout types, and you should, depending on what time of year and your athlete limitations are. Okay, so again, this is in an outdoor one. We talked about an indoor one last time, and you can see here that there is a bit of neighborhood juggling, and I'm sure you've done this before in the past, but this is an athlete who knows that there is a start point right around here, and if they get all the way to the top of the hill right back through here, then they know they are getting faster and progressing. If their interval ends on a earlier time period over here, then they know that they are not developing as they were in the past. So I call these neighborhood time trials. These are a great thing to do, especially if you're in the same location year after year. You can really track your performance easily based off of how far you are going over the course of a set interval. And again, if you don't have a safe space to do that, you might want to find something else, or, do this inside, but just get off of that erg mode. And you could see here that this athlete has a lot longer intervals, and there's only 3 of them. Okay, so if we highlight or actually go to the laps here, you can see that these VO2 max intervals are about 7 minutes long, and they're holding an average of about 290 watts during this time period. And again, we can track that over time, and depending on who you are, these intervals are going to be slightly different. But I highlight this one because I want you to realize that it is okay to go harder here. And if we move the workout to match up a little bit better here, you can see that once you take off these restrictions, you'll find a lot of times you'll be able to go above it, but you won't be able to go for very long, and that's okay. But knowing where your limit lies is so key to this whole operation. So don't be afraid to go for it out there. It's totally fine, and it's actually what you should be doing in this phase here. So go for it, and if it's too hard or too easy, make sure you give your coach that feedback and say, hey, this workout, I know it was supposed to be hard, but I feel like I have about 50 more watts in me for that length of an interval. And then your coach is probably going to say something like, okay, let's do it, or let's go a little longer, or let's see what has gone on in your athlete development because of this workout, and let's alter some of our targets. But major importance here is communication, going for it, and also if you're inside, getting out of erg mode. Don't be afraid to put the hammer down, because we've done all this training and now is the time to actually find out if it's paying off or not.